Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports, and this has Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host. Good to see you again, my man Bear. You got some news for me? Anything on players? I'm ready, Doc. Let's talk.
Well, we have a number of things that we'll talk about today on the agenda, but primarily, Ben, last week we talked about the status of the backup quarterbacks. You know, all of the movement now is being made to put your starting quarterback, in place. Who's going to be the starter? I mean, in places like Chicago, where you have a first-round draft choice like Justin Fields, everyone's theorizing whether or not he'll start in the beginning, start by game, 4 or 5, or by the end of the season. So there's a whole lot of the, people trying to look out into the future. But the bottom line, in our talks previously, I know for me especially, I have not been impressed by the quality of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. The NFL spends big bucks many, many times on their starting quarterback. But if he goes down, so does the season. You had a few situations that were different than that, like with the Eagles, with Nick Foles, where, the starter went down, even though he was on an MVP role, nobody expected Nick Foles to step in, take him to a Super Bowl and win it. But it was a special situation, and it didn't happen. But in most cases, that does not happen. And the reason it doesn't happen is because these backup quarterbacks, I don't want to say stink.
Don't stink?
Well, let's look at my 49ers. I'm a Niner fan. You're a Giant fan, right? And both of them are in our NFC. So what we're going to do, matter of fact, we're not going to go to our teams right away because both our teams are in the NFC. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the backup quarterbacks who are listed on the roster for the NFC. And we're going to do the NFC this week. Next week, we will do the AFC. Sound good? So first, Ben, we're going to kick this off with Arizona. The Arizona Cardinals have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Starter, Kyler Murray, number 1, not really a question. Funny, they have him his height. This is the team website. So we're at the team websites looking at this information. They don't actually have their depth charts listed yet. So you have to just look at the total roster and isolate the quarterbacks as much as you can. All 3 of their backup quarterbacks are well over 6 foot, 6'1" for 2 of them, 6'3" for the other. Kyler Murray's 5'10". That's an interesting differential. But you got Chris Streveler, Cole McDonald, and Colt McCoy. Now, I'm just going to throw this out, not as a point for a lot of discussion, but it is still funny that, I guess my man Kaepernick, he won't take a backup job, so he won't fit any of these criteria for the backup. So I'll leave that out of it. But long story short, Kyler Murray goes down. Anybody there looks to save the season for him?
Yeah, Colt McCoy.
You think Colt got the goods?
He can win football games.
Through to the playoff level football?
You said Kyler Murray was going to take him to the playoffs.
No, I said if Kyler Murray goes down,
yeah,
can any of these quarterbacks pick it up and take them into the playoffs? Keep the Super Bowl hopes alive. That's really the question. If the starter goes down, do the Super Bowl hopes die with them?
If the team was good enough to be a playoff-bound team with Kyler Murray at quarterback, they could still be a playoff-bound team. If they were clanking along and Kyler Murray is dragging them along and they're barely making it, if they make it at all at a wild card, then Colt McCoy probably wouldn't have taken much further.
Okay, all right. Any thoughts on Cole McDonald or Chris Streveler?
None at all. No disrespect. None at all.
So on a scale of, let's say, A, B, C, and D, where D is the worst and A is the highest rating, Colt McCoy, you would give him what letter grade?
C plus.
A what?
C plus, maybe a B minus.
B is in boy?
Yeah, B minus.
Wow. Okay. I guess I'm a little surprised. All right. That's showing some good respect for Colt McCoy there. Was Colt on your Giants team for a while?
Not that I know of.
I know he was a couple other places.
Played for Washington. That's the one clear one I can think of off the top of my head. He played for a few teams.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. That wraps up the Arizona Cardinals. All right, Ben. So next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons, a lot of people thought they might go for a quarterback. Matt Ryan, having been around for some time now, is a very seasoned player, we'll put it that way. But they didn't do that. They took that pick and went and got the tight end for the ages for a second here.
Kyle Pitts.
Yes. How do I forget Kyle Pitts? Jimmy Christmas. Anywho, A.J. McCarron and Felipe Franks look to back up Matt Ryan. So I asked the same question. Matt Ryan goes down midway through the season. Can either one of these two quarterbacks carry them into the playoffs and give them a hope to continue to win toward the Super Bowl?
Now, the thing, if you want to ask me on a scale of, A to D or whatever, that question, I can work with that.
Okay.
If you want to see, you have to make hypotheticals in order to kind of drive this thing. Like, otherwise, you have to basically sit here and predict as we go team by team. Oh, I expect this team to make the playoffs. So if he goes down, I expect the Cowboys to win the division and win the NFC East and make the playoffs. But if Dak goes down again, they traded Andy Dalton. What are they going to do? Can they trust this guy or this guy? It fits there. It fits there. But if we're talking about,
all right, so wait. So then maybe what we do is we start the question off with do you think this is a playoff team? And if you say no, then we can follow up the questions in terms of just saying, okay, what do you think about the backup quarterback? I guess I was thinking to some degree with your fantasy stuff, you might have ratings on these quarterbacks or something like that. And you'd be like, well, according to what I'm seeing, these two quarterbacks are actually pretty high, or this one's high, that one's low, or something. I didn't know if you had that type of capability.
Anybody that's a backup in fantasy is going to have stats that maybe add up to, maybe, if we're lucky, I'm talking about projected stats, projecting into the season before the season begins, to have numbers that look like maybe they played 3 games. Maybe. You can't, it's hard to say.
Okay.
Only way I can make a determination as to how I feel about each backup quarterback on every team is I'm going to use, do I know them? Have I seen them play? How many teams have they been on? Did they win games when they started? That's every time you switch to another team, I got to go, oh, okay, I know him. He did this, he did that. I think he can do that.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Do that.
All right. So then we're going to the Falcons.
I think we're kind of getting away from your original, I don't want to call it argument, but your original thing that we've been talking about, because we've been talking about this between the two of us for at least a year before this. When it comes to backup quarterbacks, that's a little bee in your bonnet, so to speak. But it started out as, if you remember correctly, why do teams have a particular type of quarterback, and then when they go out and get a backup, they don't try to match that backup with the starter as far as having similar skills, similar size, similar running ability, similar pocket presence, similar. It just doesn't seem like that always holds true. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. So, but now we're going beyond that, and we're saying, is this guy any good? Like, if the starter goes down, is this guy going to win any games, or is this going to be trash?
That was the second part of the conversation. So
okay.
we did approach that also.
Okay.
That's kind of where this came from.
Right.
Can the team still be competitive if the starter goes down? Maybe I should just phrase it in that.
That sounds better.
Okay. All right. So let's try that. Let's try that line of thinking with the Falcons.
We've been recording this whole time, right?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
Yeah. Now I wanted to stop because I wanted to make sure we kind of had our act together a little bit.
Right.
So ready, set.
Why does it say it's recording now?
Okay, Ben, so let's try with the Falcons. Take a look at the Falcons situation as far as their quarterbacks are concerned. And as you can see, we have 3 quarterbacks listed on the roster. Matt Ryan, number 2, listed at 6'4". We know Matt has been the starter. We don't expect any difference in starters. They went out and got Kyle Pitts instead of getting another quarterback. So obviously they're throwing everything that they have in there with the Matt Ryan. And so they're backed up by A.J. McCarron and Felipe Franks. Similar height, 6'4", 6'3", and 6'6". For Franks is the tallest of the two, similar weights. Big difference in the ages there, isn't it? Between Ryan and Felipe Franks, 36 versus 23. But long story short, what do you think about this group, especially those backup quarterbacks?
Well, I don't really know anything about Felipe Franks, so I'm not going to pretend that I do. Obviously, excuse me, if he's is that his age there, 23?
I do believe.
Okay, so that means he was a late round pick or a free agent pick at least a couple of years ago. So I'll assume he's been on the team for a couple of years. A.J. McCarron has been on a couple of different teams as a backup and has actually started and played in NFL games. I believe he can do the things that Matt Ryan does. I believe he can probably run their offense. Will he run it as well as Matt Ryan? I doubt it, but I'm not going to say he can't win a game or two for them and maybe keep things going if the team gets on a roll.
I have Felipe Franks. Age 23. Looks like he went to Florida, Arkansas.
That's nice, but A.J. McCarron's the backup here.
A.J. McCarron's the real guy, no doubt. No doubt. I was just trying to see what they had here. He ran a 4.61 in the combine. Not bad for the guy that tall. So what do you think? A.J. McCarron, the Atlanta Falcons, are you looking at them as a playoffs team?
I don't. That's going to be tough. They're in a not so easy division there. Probably there's some things that we have to wait and see with the Saints. But I believe the Falcons, if they make the playoffs, it'll be a bit of a struggle.
Problematic, eh?
Yeah.
All right. I can understand that. So next up, Benny, we have the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Carolina Panthers have 4 quarterbacks on the roster at this particular point. Sam Darnold being the newest addition. Well, I'm going to say maybe not the newest addition because they might have brought somebody on since him. But Sam Darnold, they brought in from the Jets in a big trade. Will Grier, number 7. Tommy Stevens, number 2. And P.J. Walker still hanging around in there, number 6. PJ Walker's the shortest. Tommy Stevens at 6'5", Greer 6'1", and Sam Darnold 6'3". You know, we liked Sam Darnold. We thought Sam Darnold maybe could have stayed with the Jets and with the new regime and had an opportunity to succeed. But now he's in a new situation. Christian McCaffrey is going to be back. What do you think about these backups? And I guess, first of all, what do you think about their potential to be competitive, and then whether or not these backups could maintain that?
Well, first of all, we've seen PJ Walker in limited action as a backup for, I believe he was first picked to be a backup for Cam, and then that kind of moved on to be the backup for Teddy Bridgewater. Now that Sam Darnold is here, obviously they're going to keep PJ Walker around because they've signed him to a contract and he's been in their quarterback room. He knows their plays. He knows their system. But Will Greer, I would say, will probably move up to be the new backup simply because he's kind of similar to Sam Darnold and the type of player that he is, and size-wise, arm strength, things like that. I think Will Greer is a little bit more mobile. I remember him as a college quarterback. I think he's a little bit more mobile than Sam Darnold. But other than that, he can pretty much do the same things Darnold does. Not as well. That's why Sam Darnold is the starter. But if Darnold went down, Will Greer could probably play.
So you think Will Greer could be as competitive as Sam Darnold?
No. If he could be as competitive as Sam Darnold, there'd be a quarterback competition. There is none.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 through 5, 5 being, you know, your top quarterbacks, where would you put Sam Darnold first off?
It's hard to say. I've seen enough flashes to believe that Sam Darnold can be a good NFL quarterback on the proper team. Whether or not this is the proper team for him, remains to be seen. But it could be. I like Sam Darnold. I think he's got all the skills.
What about so you don't want to put him on a scale because of the reference points in the different teams? You know, he might be higher rated on different teams versus another team.
Sam Darnold?
Yeah, Sam Darnold. We're starting with him.
And I'm rating him as what? A top-notch quarterback?
Well, if 5 is top and 1 is bottom,
3.
Like a 3?
3.
Yeah. Will Greer?
2.
2? Okay. All right. So the Carolina Panthers have some growing to do. They're going to need to get a few things together. What do you like best about Carolina? Anything?
They have Christian McCaffrey, who's my number 1 franchise player in fantasy.
Is he really?
Yes.
Looking to get all of those points from him. Was he there last year before he got hurt, and did you have to do something after he got hurt?
He played in 2 games, and then he went down, so I had to replace him with somebody else.
Oh, man. How do you replace a Christian McCaffrey?
I won the championship.
Who'd you replace him with?
I don't even remember. Probably Mostert. I had Mostert. I had Jeff Wilson. I had a couple of Niners. Yeah. I had all kinds of dudes going. I had Chris Carson from the Seahawks. They just pieced together, baby. Week by week, win by win.
Week by week. That's how you do it. Well, here we have the Chicago Bears. And we have 3 quarterbacks listed on the roster. Interesting group of quarterbacks here. Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, and Nick Foles.
This one's easy. This one's easy. Foles is only there in case Dalton gets hurt and Fields isn't ready to back him up. However, there's word, and I believe it, that Justin Fields and Andy Dalton are going to have a true quarterback competition in camp as the starter. That makes Nick Foles the backup regardless, okay? If Dalton wins the challenge and he gets hurt or plays poorly, they will plug Justin Fields in. That's what they moved up to get him for, okay? if he's not ready, if he's just say it's game 4 and they know I've been in the quarterback room with this guy every day for the last 3 weeks and he ain't ready. He don't know the playbook. He can't get out there and then you plug in Nick Foles. That's what he's there for.
Nick Foles has an amazing history, and we both, well, at least I know I did, think of him as a great backup, that pinch hitter or whatever, I guess, what's the word with the pitchers when he put the pitcher in? Relief pitcher.
Reliever.
A reliever, yeah. I always thought of him as really good at that. That's my baseball lack of knowledge. I can never be like a true sports announcer because I'd be like, okay, explain this golf thing to me again. Because I have no clue what's going on with the golf thing. So, but that's pretty good. I actually, between Nick Foles, Justin Fields, and Andy Dalton, I kind of feel like they have 3 decent quarterbacks at the very least, guys that the names aren't, we aren't going, well, I'm not sure about who that guy is. You know what I'm saying? You kind of get, huh?
2 of them have been starters in this league.
Right.
One of them has a Super Bowl ring.
Exactly.
I mean, one has been a starter his entire career and was never a backup. The other one was, and now we got a hotshot rookie in camp. So I think as a team, they feel pretty good that they have all ends covered, regardless of what happens. If Fields gets into camp and he excels, nobody will be happier than the Chicago Bears organization. They'll throw him right out there. They'll throw him right out there. But if he doesn't, if they feel like he needs 3, 4 mid-season, Andy Dalton's going to start. That's all there is to it. That's what camp is for. As short as it's going to be, that's what it's for.
Well, this ought to be a very interesting camp. If you go into Dallas, where you have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Dak is back. All right. Looking pretty good, they say. Ahead of schedule, they say. I think he'll be ready for camp. You have Cooper Rush. You have Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci. That goes down. First off, who do you think is going to be the backup there?
We saw a little Ben DiNucci last year. Not exactly sure if Garrett Gilbert was there last year. So I don't want to guess, but I would say they would probably go Garrett Gilbert. He's the oldest out of the bunch, so that means he's been around the longest. This is not looking really great for the Cowboys, especially with Dak coming off a major injury like he is. If I was them, I'd really be searching for somebody else, a veteran backup.
Because we are talking about a team that has playoff potential.
Exactly. And in this particular case, if they stick with these 4 guys, which one of them will probably be gone, most teams keep 3. So if they stick with any combination of these 4 guys and Dak gets injured, they're pretty much sunk.
Yep. Even in the NFC East.
Yes.
I don't think that any of those backups are going to get them out of the NFC East per se, but we're going to check that out and we'll see, because, I mean, like we said, Dak is there. Now, they're actually talking about the possibility of doing what basketball does, where they let their starters maybe sit for a little bit, and kind of manage their time a little bit. I'm wondering if they might think about doing that for Dak, because of his
What do you mean manage his time? We talking about load management?
Load management in the NFL.
Stop. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey,
Don't spoil the name of our good game with that phrase. That's horrible.
so I take it you're not a load management person,
No, not at all. It's ridiculous.
even in basketball.
Especially in basketball.
Oh man, so you can't be happy about what what the Nets did. Even
You know what they should do if they're gonna load manage. Well, see, you can't really do that. You basically have to pull the guy for a few number of games or whatever you feel like he needs to stay at the top of his game and rest him and kind of cruise him into the playoffs. I get it. There's different types of load management. But if guys are going to take a game off here and a game off there, like Kawhi Leonard always does, they should make a rule that they have to do it at home. You cannot load manage on the road. You got to play your road games, unless you or be injured.
And you say that why?
Because some of these teams only come to a particular city twice a year, and as sometime ticket holders like me and my daughter are, okay, we pick and choose the games we want to see, and it's usually based on particular players. So we want to see those players when they come to town. You know, when LA had Shaq and Kobe, that's the game you want to go to. If Jordan's coming to, are you kidding me? Yo, I can get tickets for the Bulls are coming to town. What?
So, funny that you say that because I actually had a bit of a discussion about that, and Kobe was quoted, and I'm trying to remember who was having the discussion, but they quoted Kobe as saying that he played hurt because at one point when he was young, they were sitting in the nosebleeds or wherever they were sitting at, and he was looking forward to seeing his favorite players. Like
his wife said it during her speech for his Hall of Fame.
All right, there you go. So he would play hurt not to disappoint the fans. And so what you're saying, it makes sense.
Felt like there were people out there. He knew the reality of it. Just like I said, there were people out there who saved their money to buy a ticket to go to that specific game to see that player or players. Okay. So everybody doesn't have season tickets. Some people can only go to like 4 or 5 games a year. So you pick those games because you want to see certain players. But we're talking about football here, man. Forget that mess.
Well, we were talking about load management and
football. Brought up load management. Dak is playing every minute of every game unless it's a blowout.
Well, it came up because of the new 17th game. That's how it came out in part of the conversation. So we'll see how that works out. But that's also why we're taking an extra look at these quarterbacks. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to make sure that they don't miss any of these guys. We got Jared Goff now with the Lions. This is the Lions that we're looking at. And we got backups of Tim Boyle and David, I'll say Blau, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Yes.
You familiar with any of these guys?
David Blau has had playing time. He has started games for the Lions. He has won games for the Lions.
Nice.
David Blau is a decent quarterback. He'll probably never be anything more than a backup. But if you need him to come in and close out a game, or you need him to start one week while your starter is whatever, David Blau can get that done.
Okay. So you think Blau can help them stay competitive then? Potentially.
Yeah, if the schedule is kind and if Jared Goff doesn't get hurt, we don't have to worry about it because I'm really curious to see how Jared Goff does with his new team. But if something was to happen to him, then all bets are off. They brought him in for a specific reason. If he gets injured and they go with David Blau, they get what they get. But I'm telling you, the guy's not going to go out there and fumble, bumble, and stumble. He's a competent backup quarterback.
Well, that's good to hear. That's been my whole point is that, they need to have competent backups. You got to keep your competitive options alive, if your first string quarterback goes down.
Yeah.
And
You know what the number one thing is for a backup quarterback if he finds himself having to come in late in the game or the starter can't go for a week, so you got to start a game. Don't mess up. That's what they tell them. Don't turn the ball over. Be smart. That's all. Let the rest of the team do the work.
Well, sounds good. Sounds good theoretically. Let's see if the Green Bay Packers, see what their backup situation looks like. So there's been a lot of questions about whether Jordan Love is ready because the Packers brought in Blake Bortles and then they brought in Kurt Benkert. So you're not sure if the Packers are like backloading in case Aaron decides either A, not to play, or if they have to deal him. And so they're look like they're kind of shoring up their quarterback room, assuming that Jordan Love is not quite up to par yet. And that's an interesting point because nobody's really seen him do anything that I know of. So what are your thoughts about the Green Bay Packers backup quarterback situation?
First of all, whether Aaron Rodgers plays or he doesn't, and I'm pretty sure he's going to play, Jordan Love is not ready. And they made that clear when they went out and they got Blake Bortles. So that's pretty much it for me. If anything was to happen to Aaron Rodgers, they would probably go with Blake Bortles, especially if they're winning, which I expect that they will be. Okay, they could very possibly be Super Bowl contenders again. So if something happens to Aaron Rodgers, Blake Bortles is their best chance. Jordan Love is not ready. Now, if something went wrong and they started losing, which I cannot see, but if they weren't having a very good season and then Rodgers got injured, it's very possible that they would go with Jordan Love to finish out the season, but that would have to be a lost season. That's not going to happen with the Green Bay Packers. Blake Bortles is the guy.
Well, one of the things that I understand happened also is that in the discussions about what other teams would have to offer for Aaron Rodgers, the Packers apparently made it known that one of the things that they would need to come back to them in that trade would be a quarterback. So that kind of confirms what you're saying about that, from the Packers team perspective, that, apparently he's not ready. So that's an interesting situation. Again, we're looking at first rounders now who we're looking at potentially getting thrown into the fire, and they moved up to get him. He's now 2 years in, 2 years in.
Yeah, and that's rare. Or I don't want to say the guy is a bust, but in my estimation, if you pick a quarterback within the first 5 rounds, and especially if you move up in the draft to get in the first 5 or 6 picks, I didn't mean rounds, I meant picks in the first round to get a quarterback, chances are he's going to be playing before the season is over if he doesn't start from day one.
There was an article.
It usually happens, but some guys just ain't got it, and that's Jordan Love. I think the Packers now realize what a big mistake they made. What they spent to get up there to get Jordan Love was not worth it. The guy's not. Isn't this his 3rd year?
That's what I was thinking, whether or not this was how long he's actually been there,
I think he's going to his 3rd season. This is not good. It's not good.
There was actually an article that looked at what teams give up to move up to get a player and how successful that is. And I believe the number came back at 20%. Only 20% of the teams are successful who, make that move to go up get a team. So yeah, that's a tough deal. That's a tough deal.
That also kind of is determined by what you actually consider success.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. All right, let's look at the team that's a lot of people are favoring in the division with my Niners, the LA Rams. And the new quarterback, there's no doubt that he'll be the starter. Matthew Stafford now coming in at 6'3", 220. He's been around 13 years. That's 13 seasons, it looks like, at 33 years old. You have John Wolford, Bryce Perkins, and Devlin Hodges as your three backups, on their roster right now, and you think that one of those guys aren't going to be there anyway.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Devlin Hodges is Duck Hodges, who used to be the third string quarterback for the Steelers.
Devin Duck.
Yeah. So chances are he'll hang around. Bryce Perkins is probably out of there. John Wolford has played for a team or two and has started some games. And if I remember correctly, and I can't remember specifics, but I remember watching John Wolford and saying, hey, this guy's not too bad. He can play. So in my estimation, John Wolford will be the backup for Matthew Stafford. And if something happens to Matthew Stafford, I think that John Wolford can put enough work in to keep the ship from sinking, hopefully until Matt Stafford can come back. That's the other thing we don't talk about. If a guy gets dinged and he misses a week, or a guy rips his Achilles and he's done for the season, or he pulls a hamstring and he's down for 3 weeks, all those things make a difference.
Short term versus longer term.
Right.
Some guys can come in and handle maybe 1 or 2 games, right, but they're not really there.
Finish a game and maybe start a game and possibly win. And then after that, the leash gets real short. Like,
I know with my Niners last year, I was very disappointed, in our backups. And some of our backups had plenty of experience. Nick Mullins, for example, had plenty of experience. CJ Beathard, plenty of experience, but they just looked so bad. Now, could part of it was, I guess the whole team was injured. So, the team degraded. Like you were saying before, you put that, depends on what the team behind them is, what they're capable of doing. If they're that competitive, then potentially he could continue to be competitive.
I would say definitely specifically for the Niners, if everybody was healthy and Garoppolo went down, I think Beathard, I'm not going to say the record would have been the same as if nothing happened to Garoppolo, but I think Beathard could carry that team if he had all the weapons. Kittle was out for a long time. Debo was down. Ayuk had COVID. You know what I mean?
Most of
guys had all kinds of trouble. You lost a running back every week.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, the next guy you plugged in was just as good, if not better. So, you know what I mean? There's a good chance if all the weapons were there and the quarterback went down, CJ Beathard would have pulled a Foles out of the hat for you. Who knows? The Niners are good, man. You got a freaking good team. And anybody who says that the Rams are going to win that division, they need to come see me.
Yeah. And there are a few people, but the Niners are not being forgotten in that conversation. So I have to say that although I've said that, they're not being forgotten. All right. Here is my bizoy, Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Kirk has Jake Browning, Kellen Mond, and Nate Stanley. Kellen Mond's the new guy, right?
Kellen Mond
Rookie, got the R next to his name.
Kellen Mond has a little pedigree, probably. His pedigree's probably better than it was assessed at the draft. I don't know what round he got chosen in. I know it wasn't a first round. He didn't get a first round grade. His name wasn't being mentioned with the Fields and the Trey Lances and, but I did hear his name. I think this is a good pickup for them. I think he will settle into the backup role and be ready to take over if necessary. And if it's not necessary, he will sit. But he is their quarterback of the future. And he's probably, between him and one other guy who I'll mention when we get to that team, I believe that as rookies, they're the closest thing to being able to pull off a Justin Herbert. Okay? Kellen Mond and one other guy, I think, might be able to do that.
Wait a minute. Did you just use Kellen Mond and Justin Herbert's name in the same sentence there, buddy?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Well, he was chosen in the 3rd round, 66 overall.
Okay. The other guy got picked before him, I believe. But I'll let you know who that is when we get to him. I'm not going to say they're going to be rookie of the year or nothing, but I mean the surprise factor, the wow factor, the where'd this guy come from factor that Justin Herbert gave us last season. I think Kellen Mond can do those kind of things if necessary. Look, we're not wishing bad luck on any of these starters. I don't want nobody to go down. I'm just saying, if in fact it was to happen.
We're just trying to assess the quality of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Basically, and again, let me just quickly remind people, this is Ben and Barry on football. You can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on online radio every Friday from 6 to 7:30 on WJRL953.com. And so follow us there. All right. So Kellen Mond, Ben, is the rookie. You still got Jake Browning and Nate Stanley. Do you think that now that you've mentioned Kellen Mond and Justin Herbert's name, that Kellen Mond is going to be the backup should something happen with Kirk Cousins? Or one of these other guys,
I believe they're looking at Kellen Mond as their quarterback of the future. They will groom him to take over for Kirk Cousins whenever that happens.
So Jake Browning and them are there, like you said, to hold the clipboard, eh?
Exactly.
Well, hey, it's not a bad job if you can get it. You know what I'm saying? Holding that clipboard, making some serious 6 to 7 figure salary would not be a bad situation if you can get it. So just like to see maybe a little more diversity in that backup room. That's an interesting situation right then and there, because a lot of times these guys that are in the backup quarterbacks have connections. They know somebody, so it's not always just
sometimes.
True. Sometimes. I think a lot of the times, to be quite honest with you.
Check out Ben and Barry on football. What you need to know when you need to know it. Tune in Fridays, 6 to 7:30 p.m.
So next up, we're going to take a look at the Saints. Now, Ben, you said Jameis Winston had one of the better opportunities out there where you can take over a team that's a playoff level team, plenty of talent. You got receivers, you got a decent defense. You have you were led by a Hall of Fame quarterback who's since retired. So you got Jameis there. So Jameis Winston, Trevor Siemian, and Taysom Hill. So Taysom he did a pretty good job of filling in last year. with his unique skill set. They took full advantage of it, and they used his strengths, allowed him to do some running, but he didn't do too bad. Trevor Siemian, I'm not real sure of. Maybe you have a little bit more. So do you think Jameis is going to be the starter first and foremost?
If Jameis Winston is not the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to be extremely upset. I believe that's what they originally brought him there for. I believe they felt like their team was good enough that when Breeze went down, they could still win games and kill two birds with one stone and find out if Taysom Hill could actually carry them for a game or two if they needed him to. He proved that he could do that. Unfortunately, you have to kind of change the game plan quite a bit for Taysom Hill to continue to compete and win games for you. You got to give him a certain type of a game to be in control of in order to continue to win. I think Jameis Winston can do all the things that Drew Brees did, and he can see over the line, and his arm is still strong. So, yes, Jameis Winston should be the starter. Taysom Hill probably has earned, just off of what he did last year when Brees went down, he should have earned the backup role. Trevor Siemian will be carrying the clipboard. Trevor Siemian did get some live play in the NFL. He played for Denver, but he did not fare too well.
Didn't fare too well, eh?
No.
All right, Ben. Next up, the Giants, New York Football Giants. So we only see, let's see here. We have Clayton Thomas, Clayton Thorson. I'm sorry.
Daniel Jones and Mike Glennon. Okay, this one's easy. Mike Glennon's been around for a while. Mike Glennon has played for several teams. He played for Tampa Bay.
9 years. Wow.
For Jacksonville. Matter of fact, he played for Jacksonville last season. When Minshew went down, he played. I think he threw for over 1,000 yards. He might have played in like 4 or 5 games. Went over 1,000 yards, had 7 or 8 touchdowns. I can't remember what their record was for those games that he started, but he came in and he held down the fort. That's what he is. He's a backup. He's probably got basically the same size as Daniel Jones. He's 6'7", Daniel Jones is 6'5", 225 as opposed to 221. Same body type, same pocket presence, all that stuff. So here we have a team with a backup quarterback that kind of mirrors the skills of the starter, which is something I know that you like. And
it just makes sense to me.
Yes, it makes sense. And I think that the team is now prepared to go however far they're going to go, whether it's Daniel Jones or Mike Glennon. Not to say Mike Glennon is equal to Daniel Jones. I would much rather have him there. I think his confidence is to the point now where he's going to get us a lot of wins. I believe the Giants are going to threaten for the NFC East Championship. I really do.
Okay.
So I'd rather see him stay healthy, but I'm not mad at Mike Glennon.
Okay, so you're looking for Mike Glennon to be the man coming in as the backup, and you feel comfortable. What about the other guys? They pretty much are clipboard holders.
Clipboard holder.
You think Mike Glennon can maintain competitive situation?
Yes.
Put in that situation.
He's been around long enough and has been in the NFC and the AFC for multiple years on Tampa Bay, multiple years on Jacksonville, and there's another team in there somewhere he played for. So he knows how to go into a quarterback room and learn a system and take the snaps when he needs to and get out there and start a game. He's done it. He's been there.
Well, let's see how your counterparts in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, are looking at quarterback. So right now they have Jalen Hurts as the incumbent, Joe Flacco they brought in, and Jamie Newman, who I'm not familiar with at all. We'll take a quick look and see if we can pull something up on him just in case. What are your thoughts about the Eagles quarterback room?
So Jamie Newman, I don't know a whole lot about. Looks like he went to Wake Forest. He's 23 years old, which means he probably just came out this year or the past season. He'll be a clipboard holder. Jalen Hurts is the incumbent. Right now, the Eagles' new head coach is saying that there will be a true quarterback competition in camp. I don't believe that that's going to happen. I really don't. I think he's just saying that to give people something interesting to talk about or to distract people from asking them about other questions about the team. But Jalen Hurts is here to be the starter. They're going to attempt to build the team around him. Joe Flacco, having been a starter for several years with the Ravens, having won a Super Bowl, you can't ask for a much better guy as a backup as long as he's not brittle and beat up. Because if something was to happen to Hurts, even if he had to leave a game and Flacco had to come in and finish the game, you know, if they send the house at him and they sack him, is he going to come up with an injury? I don't know at this point. But other than that, you couldn't ask for a better backup mentally. You know what I mean?
Jamie Newman, just quickly, obviously, because he has an R by his name, he is a rookie. So he was brought in this year. They actually then drafted a rookie quarterback.
He was a late rounder?
I'll take a quicker look to see if I can find out what round he went.
You don't have to look it up. I'm sure he was a late rounder. Because if he was, then he was an undrafted free agent. Either way, okay, he's a camp body, as they call it. This
camp body?
Yeah, he's a camp body. He's just there to, yeah. When Hurts gets thirsty and Joe needs a breather, Jamie Newman gets the ball. Other than that, clipboard holder.
This is that's what you gotta love football. When we've been around football all this time, and I knew exactly what you meant, but I hadn't really. I can't say I had heard that. But
yeah, he's just a body. That's all. Hey, that's part of the business. You know what I mean? That's part of the business. He knows it, but he'll make some money, and maybe he'll get on a practice squad, and maybe somebody else will grab him, or they'll put him on waivers, and somebody else will pick him up, and he'll bounce around, and he'll have a career for a little while. It'll help if he gets on the field, but I don't. You know what? That's what I was supposed to be checking on. How many preseason games are they going to play this season? Do you know?
3.
3? Oh, 3? Really? Okay.
Yeah, they eliminated one of the preseason games when they added the regular season.
All right. I thought they were going to cut it to 2. I would have preferred they cut it to 2, but now that I'm thinking about it, if they keep it at 3, guys like him, we might get a chance to look at.
Yeah. So,
yeah. But yeah, I think the Eagles are looking at Flacco the same way they looked at Nick Foles.
Yeah, I can see that. It's almost too easy though.
but you don't want it to be difficult. Cool, calm, veteran, can still make all the throws pretty much. Won't turn the ball over. Not going to run a lot, so he ain't going to get hurt. You know what I mean? What more do you want?
Okay. Obviously, he's a very different stylistically than Jalen Hurts, you know. So it's not like you're bringing in another young athletic quarterback who's going to be mobile and all of that kind of stuff. Almost the same differential from when he was with the Ravens and they brought in Lamar Jackson. You know, you got a young guy who's athletic and can run and do all that.
To be the backup.
Huh?
They brought Lamar in to take his job.
I realize that, but I'm just saying the differential between the type of players.
Oh, that's why they let him go, because he's no good to back up Lamar. It's no good. Can't do that.
Yeah, they went out and they got similar people to back up Lamar. The Eagles aren't doing that. That's my whole point. They're not trying to find somebody similar.
They're in the majority, unfortunately. Most teams don't do that.
All right. My beloved 49ers have 4 quarterbacks on the roster.
Oh, wait a minute. Nate Sudfeld? Are you serious?
Jimmy Garoppolo is the starter. Josh Johnson, Josh Rosen, and Nate Sudfeld.
Holy moly. They let Nate Sudfeld go? I'm shocked.
You didn't see him on that roster? We just talked about the Eagles, didn't we?
It didn't click that I didn't see him. But now that I do see him and know he's not with them, now it's clicking. Oh, I thought they'd never let him go. All right, so Josh Johnson's been around a little while. He's played a little bit. Josh Rosen was a fairly high draft pick in the year that he came out. Some people would call him a bust. Some people would say that he just didn't get the right opportunity and that he could still possibly be something in the NFL. Garoppolo is obviously the starter. How come Trey Lance's name is not up here?
That's an interesting question. Boy, that is a good question. Where is Trey Lance in that list of people here? Let's see. Did I miss him?
No, he's not there.
He's not there. That's probably just a computer thing.
Okay.
They just
so here's
again, it's amazing. They don't have their depth charts or anything out yet, so probably just a computer thing.
So here's the deal. I don't know why they got Nate Sudfeld.
Me neither.
He's a camp body, clipboard holder, disinfect the table and stuff in the meeting room. But
that would make 5 quarterbacks. So I'm surprised they haven't already released at least one of these guys. I didn't see anything that said that they were released.
Early June has something to do with money and cap hit. So they might be waiting for that date.
Okay.
Sometime, I think in the first week of June makes a difference as to what your cap hit is if you let somebody go now or if you let somebody go after that date. So you'll probably see a Nate Sudfeld drop off. Josh Rosen is being held around for potential, but that's going to run out after a while. He's been around 3 years. Josh Johnson has been around and has been on a couple of different teams. I think teams like him because he keeps getting jobs. But
it's funny because I'm looking on Pro Football Reference, and they still have him listed with the Seahawks.
Yeah, he backed up Russ. That's it. Nobody else.
That's what they have there for him. Okay. So
Okay. I could have swore he was in Tampa Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would be an interesting place to have him be backed up.
Right. But again, he's been around a couple of years, right? 3, 4.
Oh yeah. He's got some time in.
Okay. No, I know Josh Johnson. I know his skills. He's the kind of quarterback with a pretty big arm and all that stuff who's not a runner, but who can run.
They have him listed here, and it says originally drafted in the 5th round, 160th overall of the 2008 NFL draft by the Buccaneers.
See, I just said that. Tampa Bay.
Cleveland Browns, Bengals, Niners, Jets, Colts, Bills, Giants, Texans, Washington, Lions again. And you know something, Ben? We're going to talk about our buddy Corey Clement a little bit later. But in talking about him and talking to some of his people, I think about guys like Josh Johnson. Corey has basically spent like 4 years with the Eagles. Now he's with your Giants. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But you think about Johnson and the road that he's taken to maintain a job in the NFL. That's pretty impressive, you know?
He is a career backup. Okay. That's not a made up term. I didn't just think of it. That's a job in the NFL. Career backup. If you went back, you could find a bunch of them. And somebody's got to settle into that role. He has settled into that role. And I don't care how many different teams he plays on. I bet you $1 to a donut, if something happened and he had to go into a game, that he would be prepared. That's why he keeps getting hired.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. I like that. You know, because that means he's a smart guy,
right?
You know, and he's you know, he knows what it takes. Okay, we are looking at the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, number 3. Geno Smith still has a job. Alex McGough, McGough, and Danny Etling.
Okay. All right.
So those are the guys backing up Russell Wilson. And if we have to think that the Seahawks are a competitive team. I don't know if any one of these guys would maintain the competitive aspect if Russell goes down. Even Geno, what do you think?
I've seen Geno Smith in action. Geno Smith was drafted into this league to be a starter. He wasn't able to hold on to a starting job. He's now been relegated to a backup. And I'll tell you the truth, I haven't seen enough good work from Geno Smith to believe that even if the Seahawks are good this year, that if Russell went down, he could keep things going. I'm not a Geno Smith fan. And he's given me nothing to be a fan about. He really hasn't. I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm with you. I was surprised they even picked him up in the first place, but he's been there now like a couple years.
He's been there a couple years, and Russell Wilson is one of those guys that just doesn't get hurt. You know, just like we talk about guys that fall into the career backup thing, and guys that we talk about that like they just can't stay healthy. Russ is one of them guys that don't get hurt.
Well, knock on wood, Benny.
Yeah, I know.
Knock on wood. You know, I hope you're right. And I shouldn't, because that's a division rival of ours. But, you know, long story short, that's how we do it. You know, I'm not, you know, it's not even about him not playing. It's about meeting the competition and beating the competition.
You'd rather meet and beat the best that they can offer than to something happen, you get your hopes up, and then Geno Smith comes in and has a career year and beats you. You probably put a gun to your head. Not Geno Smith.
Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. All right, let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. We are looking at 4 quarterbacks on the roster there. Tom Brady, obviously. Your boy, Blaine Gabbert, or as you would say,
Blame Gabbert.
Ryan Griffin and Kyle Trask, who they brought in this year as a rookie.
Okay. Remember when I was talking about Mond?
Yes.
Okay. Here's that other guy.
Here's the other guy.
This is the other guy I was talking about, Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask, in my estimation, if the Bucs, who basically have their entire Super Bowl team back on both sides of the ball, it's uncanny what they've done. They're rolling through this season, and it gets to week 9, and Brady stubs his toe, twists the ankle, gets a hamstring, fractures a finger. Not a season ender, but you know what I mean? I believe that Kyle Trask could come in and they could keep winning.
You think Kyle Trask is going to keep them competitive, eh?
And the reason I say that, and of course, a lot of that has to do with how he does in the classroom through training camp and during the season, and they go to, you know, watching film and coming up with game plans, and how he is able to grasp the NFL game and grasp Bruce Arians' playbook. That has a bunch to do with it. But what they saw on film and what they studied and what they liked about Kyle Trask led them to believe that he could be their quarterback of the future. Let's face it. Brady might play till he's 50, but he's darn near 50 now. He's getting close. I think Kyle Trask is the guy that they decided is going to take this thing over whenever Brady decides to call it. If they have that much trust in him and he's able to learn their system and their playbook over the course of the season, and something was to happen to Brady, I believe they would throw him right in there. Just like Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert wasn't supposed to play last season.
No, that's true.
He wasn't supposed to play. They were going to ride it out with Tyrod Taylor. They really were. So, you know, but that's me. That's Ben saying that. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong.
No doubt. No doubt.
But I like Kellen Mond. I'm going to go on the record and say I like Kellen Mond and I like Kyle Trask. Every year, some quarterback comes out of nowhere or somebody starts to have a career that nobody thought of, like Brady, who got picked in the 6th round, okay? I believe that at least one of these two guys, if not both of them, will be around for a long time.
That's what I was looking for. 64th overall in the 2nd round for your Kyle Trask.
There you go. 2nd rounder, yeah. He's their quarterback of the future.
Interesting that at this time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would actually be choosing the quarterback of their future. All right. We'll finish up with the Washington football team. Quarterback of the future is really a question as far as the Washington football team is concerned. But the quarterback of the present, they brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, the vet of all vets, 38 years old, 17 years in the league. He's backed up by Kyle Allen, who has 3 years in the league, Taylor Heineke, who has 4 years, and Steven Montez, who has 1 year in the league. So that experience number drops dramatically from Ryan Fitzpatrick. So what do you think about this quarterback room and the backup quarterbacks there? We actually saw a little bit of Tyler Heineke last year.
I love this one.
Taylor's.
You couldn't have picked a better one to be the last one to talk about. This is the most interesting quarterback room in the entire NFL, in the entire NFC. Okay? You have Kyle Allen, who has proven with the Washington team and with the Panthers, if my memory serves me correctly, that this guy belongs in the NFL, can learn a playbook quick. You can put a game plan in for him, and he can win games for you. You also have Taylor Heineke, who some people were like really enamored with. Like, they're like, yo, where has this guy been? This guy can play. I was extremely impressed with Taylor Heineke. It's unfortunate that he played well enough to make Alex Smith expendable, but Taylor Heineke showed me quite a bit last season. And then you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who they're bringing in to be the starter, who is a career backup. So now you got a career backup starting with 2 other guys backing him up that have had, I'm not going to say as much NFL experience as him, and especially in starting games, but have recently had a good bit of NFL starting quarterback experience. Basically, this is a team with 3 backups on it. 3 bona fide backups. This is anybody's ball game right here. Heineke could come out of this as the starter. He could. I mean, unless they've made up their mind that, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I know you've been wanting to be a starter your whole career. Okay, you're the starter for our team. Okay, if they do that, fine. Then you come with Heineke. Then you come with Kyle Allen. That's a strong quarterback room, man. That's a real strong quarterback room.
That's interesting that you say that, because that's your division with your New York Giants there.
Some people are picking the Washington football team to win the division. I've seen it. I've seen the early talk. They believe that defense is really, really good, and they've made enough improvements on the offense that it could carry them to a division championship. They really believe that. If their offense improves more than the Cowboys' defense improves, there's the difference.
That's an interesting way to put it. Okay. That's an interesting way to put it, because we know their defense was rated in the top half of the league, if not almost in the top 10. I think they were like 11.
They won the division last year with Taylor Heineke. They won the division.
Okay. And you know something? I feel very positive about Ryan Fitzpatrick for some reason. I think we're going to get more Fitz magic than Fitz tragic next year.
Absolutely.
You feel that same way?
I agree with you 100%.
Really?
I think he's going to go there and he's going to thrive.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. And I can't say why per se, maybe because he had a few really good moments down there with the Dolphins and came in and he's been so professional, even in any of those situations. So all this movement doesn't bother him. The interesting thing is he don't even have his picture on the roster. Heineke and those other guys have their picture. He don't even have his picture. He ain't worried about none of that mess.
He could care less. This guy went to Harvard, okay? He could care less, man. His son, they said his oldest son is like some kind of mathematical genius.
Oh, my goodness.
With this guy, he's made plenty of money. He's been on different teams. He's had huge wins on almost every team that he played on. He's pulled out big-time last-second drives. He's blown teams out. He's gotten destroyed. He's been through it all. Man. Yeah, you got to love that guy. Gotta love him.
Look, I'm telling you, man, just to have been around that long. I mean, we're looking at him coming in the league in 2005.
Wow.
There's a lot of kids who haven't been around that long yet. Right. 2005. Wow, that is an amazing career. And like you said, he's been getting paid that entire. Can you imagine getting paid 17 years in the NFL? Gee, Christmas.
Great. He's Alex Smith. He's Steve DeBerg. Remember Steve DeBerg?
Yeah.
The guy that was always good enough to be a starter, but always went to a team that brought in a hot rookie, held down the fort, taught him everything he knew, and then they trade him away. And then he'd do it again. Then he'd do it again.
Hey, look, everybody finds their way through, man. But again, when you're playing in that level of a game, it's hard to lose. As long as you're in the game, you're winning. Right. I mean, the minimum salary is what, $600,000 or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, so, you could be the last man on the bench.
Guys like them are making way more than that, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying they're making gigantic money like a starter money, but they're not piddling along around the minimum.
No.
The teams value those guys.
I mean, shoot, the practice squad is making 6 figures.
Right. But if you're a relevant backup quarterback who has started games in the NFL, either because of emergency or, well, usually it is because of emergency, but if you've had the opportunity to take first team reps for more than 1 week and go out there and start games, and you have won some of those games, you're a hot commodity. That's how I believe a lot of these coaches and these teams judge who they want to bring in as a backup. They want guys that have had their feet to the fire and survived. They're not pressed that the guy's taller than the starter or shorter than the starter, or he can run and they can, or they can run and he can't. They don't care about that. They want somebody that can come in, they can give them any game plan, and as long as it don't have a bunch of RPOs in it, they can run it. They can understand it, they can run it, and they don't turn the ball over. That's all you want.
Turnover differential. That's what we look at.
That's all you want.
All right. Well, that wraps up the NFC. Next week, we're going to do the AFC. I just had an alert come across my phone. Houston bringing in free agent quarterback on a 1-year deal, Jeff Driscoll, for $2.5 million.
Good Lord. Jeff Driscoll.
I'm telling you, I wish my son had been a quarterback, because I'm sure he could have been somewhere in that mix getting that money.
And I tell you what, I remember a conversation that you and I had about Nick Foles when they were talking about him leaving the Eagles. You tried to say it wasn't about money. He's not that kind of guy. He should just stay there, back up Wentz. Wentz is injury prone. He gets hurt again. This guy's proven he can take the team, blah, 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 blah. And you were right in everything that you said. But I believe that a guy who has had these flashes of greatness, and his biggest flash is winning a freaking Super Bowl, he wants to be a starter before he retires from the game. There's no way he's going to stay on that team and be a backup. He has to try to be a starter somewhere. And eventually that's what he ended up doing. It didn't work out. I think now he knows he's a backup. But at that point, there's no way he was going to stay as a backup with the Eagles. No way. No way.
Listen to me.
Yeah, right.
Just listen.
Listen to you for.
That's all. You'd have been all right, you know? You're getting paid nice money.
No, he's done fine. He had his opportunity. At least he can say, I had an opportunity. Yeah, he can blame it on Trubisky. He can do whatever he wants. But he had the opportunity. He went for it. He could have stayed with the Eagles. They'd have been more than happy to keep him. They was only going to pay him but so much money, but they probably would have paid him more than a regular backup. He would have had the best of both worlds. But, I mean, you're playing the greatest game in the world at the highest level in the biggest league of almost any professional league in any professional sport. And you have an opportunity to be a starting quarterback. You can't turn that down. You got to take that. Even if you blow it, you got to take the chance.
I can understand it. All right. Let's transition to those guys who are really taking a chance. Those guys who are really still trying to just get their foot in the door. Some of them, as a matter of fact, we understand a lot of them had their foot in the door, and now they are part of the Spring League. An elite professional football development league is how they describe themselves. I have been watching a few of the games this week, Ben. What about you?
I watched a little bit of two different games. Some of the team names are kind of weird, so I can't remember exactly who I was watching. But it was actually pretty good football. I'll tell you the truth. The little bit, it didn't hold my interest, probably because I don't know the teams and I don't know the players. So that intrigue wasn't quite there for me. But I could see that the players have skills. There are some skillful guys out there. If this is a developmental league, I hope like heck a bunch of these guys are able to transition into the NFL from out of here, because there's some guys out there that can play some football. No doubt about it. Speed, hands, jumping ability, arm strength, speed. I said speed. Some guys with some good size. I see some linemen with some good size. I see some D linemen that can really come off of the edge and push the pocket, that probably just need to be coached up a little bit. Yeah, it's good football. I'm not going to say it's not.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. During the day when I'm working at home, and I can just put something on and let it play in the background. A lot of it has been some of the replays of some of the basketball games. I just put them on and, watch. I kind of know the end result, but I didn't get to see the actual game. So this is where I get to kind of give it half attention. But I enjoyed it also. I saw some pretty decent football, and I saw some comebacks and some things of that nature. So, yeah. And again, these are guys who are hoping to get an opportunity to get their foot either back into the league or into the league in the first place. I don't know how much the NFL is involved in this league. Do you?
I don't know if the NFL is exactly involved, okay? But if they're calling themselves a developmental league, that means that they're giving the NFL access to look at players. I'm sure scouts are being dispatched to look at players. Let's face it, there's always diamonds in the rough out there. Guy that maybe played JUCO or small college or something, maybe took a couple of years off because he had to work, or started a family or something, and now he's back in again. You never know. You never know. If you love the game and you put yourself out there in the hopes that you're seen, be it the Spring League, be it Arena, be it NFL Europe. There's a league in Mexico. You know what I mean? The possibility is always there that somebody will see you. And if they do, your life could change like that.
A snap and a snap. Well, this young lady's life didn't change in a snap. It's been a long, hard grind for her, but she made history. So we're talking here about Kelly Klein, Kellyklein, who is now the Executive Director of Football Operations and Special Advisor to the GM for, I believe it's the Denver Broncos. Yes, the Denver Broncos. She was with the Vikings for a long time. You see her standing there on the sideline with the Vikings now, and she's in charge of a lot of the player scouting, that type of stuff,
She left the Vikings to go to the Broncos to be promoted to the highest level of their scouting department. She's like the boss of the scouting department. That's cool.
Yeah. So we wanted to.
That's cool. Okay. You got a woman, the head of your scouting department. Don't even ask me, does she know football? Don't even ask me if she knows how to pick talent. They put her in charge of the scouting department. You don't just do that. And she's already been in the NFL. I don't know what title she held with the Vikings, but she's obviously been working her way up. So that means she's a proven commodity. Kudos to her. That's great. That's great.
What's interesting, when I watched a little video piece on her and she was talking about having not played football, there were some things that, she just had a hard time kind of grasping. But she's one of those people who keeps at it, watch more film, ask more questions, watch more film, ask more questions, learn it, and then move on to the next thing. So now, like you said, she's pretty much, seen it all, figured it all out, and has reached this particular pinnacle. So definitely wanted to congratulate her. Again, women are moving into football in serious ways, The extreme non-serious way is the women who are running around playing football in bikinis, that might have brought some eyeballs. But on the back end of the NFL now, we have women who are going into coaching and the GM and the scouting. We talked about the young lady in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers office and how much she was bringing in to, helping them with their contracts and negotiating with free agents and things of that nature. And then they wind up bringing everybody back from a Super Bowl team, which was unheard of.
Yeah, I'd venture to guess she knows what the hell she's doing.
To say the least, man.
Yo, they got a Super Bowl team that they kept together, and they got a Super Bowl organization. Are you kidding me? Dude,
Tampa Bay.
They could repeat.
Good chance.
It's a good chance. There's a real good chance they could repeat.
Because as you said last week, they kind of came into their own later in the season when they kind of really figured it out, got the working between the coach and the quarterback. That thing kind of smoothed its way out. And then, from there, they started cooking. So that's how they coming into the season. And then they'll have a preseason this year. They'll have all of that additional time and all of that additional preparation. And Tom Brady will have that much more time to have an imprint on that team. So, yeah, that's going to be the NFC. And, I'm hearing more, they're talking about the AFC being the more competitive conference. I've heard that on news media. That might be a question when you're looking across the board, probably because you have so many quarterback questions, some changes, new coaches, stuff of that nature. But long story short, when you're looking at the NFC, you got to start right there in Tampa Bay and go from there. If you can't skip by Green Bay, can't skip by the 49ers, you can't skip by the Rams. So I heard what they said, and I'm repeating it. That don't mean I particularly believed it.
All right,
I'm just mentioning, you hear these things being bandied around, and it makes you wonder a little bit. But yeah.
So in the NFC, you start with the Chiefs, and then where do you go?
In the AFC, start with the Chiefs, and then where do you go? Ravens, Browns.
Ravens, Browns, Buffalo. Okay. We're kind of in the same boat here.
Nah.
This is going to be a great season, bro. It's going to be a great season. And I tell you what, as much as I believe that the Bucs will probably at least get back to the Super Bowl, the Packers window, I think, was really open last season, and they didn't pull that game out. And now it's extremely closed, but it's not closed completely. You're right. You cannot sleep on the Packers.
Can't sleep on them guys. All right. We have another very interesting situation. We just want to just mention a young man who kind of is making a little bit of history as far as being a punter. Minicamp, Mr. Harvin. Pressley Harvin III made history as the first black man to win the Ray Guy Award for the best punter in the NCAA. Now he looks to make more history as being the 7th round draft pick by the Steelers. There haven't been many black punters in the game since Marquette King. And, they mentioned Greg Coleman. Do you remember Greg Coleman?
Yeah, but I don't remember him as a punter.
Well, Greg Coleman was a punter that came out of Florida A&M. He's the same age as I am.
Okay. I remember
there when I was there.
I do. I remember him. But Marquette King was actually a showboat.
Oh, yeah.
But he really could punt. But he didn't have a long career.
And I don't understand why he didn't get picked up by anybody.
I don't know. He was a bit of a hot dog. I'll give him that. I'm like, bro, you're the punter. Take it easy. Okay? Unless you're booming 70-yard punts on a regular, you really should chill. But
yeah, I mean, I understand that, as far as being a hot dog punter, that's a little crazy. But I remember him as being a pretty good punter, and the question nowadays, and that's not only can you boom it 70 yards, but can you place it within the 5-yard line?
Which is probably even more important than booming at 70 yards.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct. So this kid won the Ray Guy Award. That means he's damn good.
And let me tell you, I don't think you want him tackling you.
Oh, yeah, I saw you got some size on him.
You see the size on that young man?
Yeah. I tell you what, you see a lot of punt returns where the punter is like the last guy and then he misses the tackle and the guy runs the punt back. But it happens more to the kicker on the kickoff than it does on the punter. I believe that. I've watched a lot of great returns from back in black and white days, okay? And the kicker gets embarrassed more than the punter does. I'm just saying. I think basically punters are a little bit better athletes than kickers.
I think you're right there, Benny.
Would you agree with that? I think Pat McAfee would agree with that.
I think you're right. Pat McAfee would agree.
Yeah.
Pressley Harvin is 6 foot 255.
Oh my God. Yeah, you don't want. Yeah. He's like freaking DB size. He's like strong safety size.
He might be a linebacker size.
Holy crap. Yeah, he's about the same size as Micah Parsons.
You know what I'm saying? He got picked in the 7th round.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't see.
To the Steelers?
To the Steelers.
Yeah, well, they're going to need him. They're going to be punting a lot. I just said that, man. I've been drinking.
You've been having a little bit of fun.
That out.
That's okay, because we're moving toward just about wrapping this puppy up tonight. Besides, wait a minute, I didn't ask you what are you drinking today?
Oh, I'm back on Monkey Shoulder. Monkey Shoulder. Whiskey. Yes. Let me make a request right now for next week's show. I'd like people to look forward to it if, in fact, we can put this in next week. But I'm ready to do this. Mock draft thing got me going now. I'm ready to do my power rankings for the upcoming season.
No.
Division by division.
No.
Yes.
An advanced?
I'd like to do that.
Ranking system.
And the reason I want to do it now is so I can redo it. If I do it now in May, I can redo it again at the beginning of August.
And you're going to have to, believe me.
I'm sure.
You're going to have to. This is way early.
I'm sure.
But hey, they already got them. They've already got the power rankings out, so it's not like you're late.
There's things that we're talking about and things that are happening that are making a difference in the way that people are looking at their teams, if they're fans, or in the way that people are looking at the teams in their division when they're trying to assess their team's chances. Let's face it, if you're a fan, you're thinking about that now, and you're going to be thinking about that and rethinking it through the Hall of Fame, through the whole preseason, you know what I mean? So we're talking about backups and this and that. A lot of things depend on how I think the teams in each division stack up and who I think has the advantage and who doesn't, or who has the disadvantage.
Okay. All right. I can see that. Not bad. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing. Don't forget, we're also going to do the second half of the quarterback situation.
Yes, AFC.
That should be a full show next week.
Yep.
All right. Before we go to our last thing, wanted you to give us a little something on your T-shirt that I'm sure you wore very consciously today.
Actually, this is what I wore to the gym today, so I didn't change my gym attire. I was working out, but
good thing we're not on Smell-O-Vision.
Yeah, we're not on Smell-O-Vision. So hopefully it's coming up the right way, because I've seen some videos where things look backwards. But
I can read it.
It's the MCFFU, right? Virginia Beach Flag Football Tournament, which we were the champions of. As you can see, it was held in July in 2006. Okay. If anybody from the PTTFL is looking at this, it's funny. I was on the Facebook page and I was doing some reading, and some people were saying that, wow, Philly is really on the map when it comes to traveling and going to tournaments. And we have several teams that are nationally ranked and going to tournaments and all this stuff. And it's funny because most of these guys that are saying this stuff were probably barely in high school when I was already doing it. You know what I mean? So, we have a big tournament here in Philadelphia. It's called the Philly Bowl. I believe we're on Philly Bowl 5 or 6 at this point. It's been really successful. But back when I was traveling and had a team traveling, there was only one team from Philadelphia traveling. So it was very difficult to get the powers that be to sanction a tournament in Philadelphia, because they said, why should the DC and Maryland teams, who have like 10, 12 teams, 14 teams down there, why should they travel from Maryland to Philadelphia just to play each other? So I couldn't really, I couldn't really get a foothold there. But now, since some of the veteran players that traveled with me on my team, which was either the Philly Noles or the Road Warriors, were able to get out there, they now have gone back to their individual teams, talk to their younger guys, and now they're taking their teams on the road. Right. Now Philadelphia is a presence. Now Philadelphia teams are, dare I say, feared. Okay, we're winning tourneys lately, or having epic games against each other in tourneys. It's really, really a good thing. It's a great thing. I just hope it continues. We have teams on the pro division, which is like Division 1. Division 2 is like the comp division, and Division 3 is like the recreational division. But we have 2 major teams in the pro division that are doing work. My teams, the Road Warriors and the Philly Noles, we only played in the pro division. We have some other teams that are in the comp division, Division 2, and some in Division 3. But the thing is, it's the volume of teams coming out of the city now. Like, people know we're going to give a tourney because we know the Philly team's going to come.
Okay. Well, you guys, the one that I did go to when you had the Philly Bowl a couple years back, that was live, man. It was a live day. I mean, we couldn't even get parking anywhere near the park.
It's grown. It's grown from there. Guess what? It's grown so much, we had to move it to Delaware.
Ah, right. So the Philly Bowl's in Delaware, right?
Philly Bowl's actually in Delaware, yes. Which the Maryland teams will like that because they can get there quicker.
They get there a little earlier.
Right, but they'll still come to Philly because they got to go to Max's and get their cheesesteaks.
Max's?
That's where they go.
Where's Max's at? I'm not familiar with.
We're in Germantown.
Oh, I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the new cheese steak.
Well, no, it's not. It's not new to us.
I mean, but
that's the easiest place to send them. When they come up, the first thing they say is, "Where do I get a cheesesteak?" No, you know what they call it? They don't call it cheesesteak. They call it steak and cheese.
A steak and cheese?
Yes, they call it a steak and cheese. Yo, bro, Where can I get a steak and cheese? So you send them to D'Alessandro's,
Right.
Max's, or you know what I mean?
Okay. Wow, that's hilarious. We had in one of our events with Legal Shield, we had a lady come in from, I believe she was from Chicago, and that's all she wanted was, a cheesesteak, a Philly cheesesteak. And we brought her in a Philly cheesesteak, and we're all sitting around at the bar. We all had all the different food. We handed her cheesesteak, and she breaks out a knife and fork, and we go, "Oh, no. No, that's not how you eat a cheesesteak.
No.
And when she got the hang of it, she killed that cheesesteak and ordered another one. So we were sitting there looking at you. You're a little small. You putting away them cheesesteaks. But hey, got to get it while you're here. No doubt about it.
That's right.
All right, the last thing we want to mention, and I do apologize for the interruption while you were talking about your flag football challenge, trying to queue up Ben and Barry on football with our little radio piece, because we're going to be on Fridays from 6 to 7:30.
Right.
WJRL953.com. Go to that.
Yeah, so if you're in the car, turn it on. If you're in the crib and you just got nothing but your phone, just turn it on. It's an online radio station. You go to it, you can hear us.
Absolutely. All right, so finishing up, wanted to talk about your New York Giants and their new addition from the Philadelphia Eagles with our friend Corey Clement coming into your New York Giants. And I understand he's not only had a workout, he's signed a contract, and he's actually in there working out with your rookies.
He showed up for the rookie camp?
This is what I'm hearing.
That's a major move.
Corey's serious.
By Corey to show up for rookie camp, because he's like, look, I know I'm a vet. I'm not a rookie, but I just got a new contract with a fresh new team, and I want to get on a good foot. I'm showing up to rookie camp. I'm going to work with the young guys, make sure I'm in shape for when real camp starts. He's doing all the right things. I applaud him. I applaud you, Corey. Good job, bro. And I tell you what, obviously Saquon Barkley is the starting running back on this team. The backup is Devontae Booker. I like Devontae Booker. He didn't do as much in Denver as I thought that he should have. I don't think he got the right opportunities. He played well when Josh Jacobs went down last year when he was with the Raiders. He actually played well. He had a couple of good games. He did well enough that I thought about picking him up on fantasy. I didn't do it, but he played well enough for me to consider it. Corey, you're the same as Devontae Booker, but faster. Yeah, you got the same skills. You can hit the hole. You can get outside. You can catch the ball. Yeah. You should get plenty of time behind Saquon, bro. I wouldn't even worry about it.
Nice. Congratulations, Corey.
I believe in you, Corey. I believe in you.
And yes, absolutely. We always want to plug them whenever we can here. So shout out. All right, Mr. Dickerson, any last words?
Last words for me, more than normal. I got a 35 and older team going down to a tournament in June. I'm not exactly sure if it's in Virginia. I think it's in Virginia or near Virginia Beach, like in Norfolk or that area, somewhere like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then we got Philly Bowl coming up. Philly Bowl is going to be in Delaware. I will have the address for that if anybody happens to see this that's interested in looking at some really, really, really top-notch flag football. Other than that, all I can say is go Noles.